In this section, let us discuss on child abuse. Child abuse is one among the social problem which has little attention towards it in India. However, in India, as in many other countries, there has been no understanding of the extent, magnitude and trends of the problem. The growing complexities of life and the dramatic changes brought about by socio-economic transitions in India have played a major role in increasing the vulnerability of children to various and newer forms of abuse. Child abuse is a violation of the basic human rights of a child and is an outcome of a set of interrelated familial, social, psychological and economic factors. First, let us understand the concept of child abuse. Child abuse is a state of emotional, physical, economic and sexual maltreatment meted out to a person below the age of 18 and is a globally prevalent phenomenon. From this, it is clear that a child is abused through different ways such as emotional, physical, sexual and economic, and the victim is who is below the age of 18 years. The term child abuse may have different connotations in different cultural milieu and socio-economic situations. A universal definition of child abuse in the Indian context does not exist and has yet to be defined. According to WHO, World Health Organization, child abuse or maltreatment constitutes all forms of physical and or emotional ill treatment, sexual abuse, neglect or negligent treatment or commercial or other exploitation resulting in actual or potential harm to the child's health, survival, development or dignity in the context of a relationship of responsibility, trust or power. Child abuse not only means ill treatment of children, but also includes negligent treatment. For example, in our society, girl children are neglected and given little importance. It is also a kind of child abuse. As we have seen in the definition of child abuse is widespread in different forms. It includes physical, sexual and emotional abuse. The World Health Organization defines physical abuse of a child as an incident resulting in actual or potential physical harm from an interaction or lack of interaction, which is reasonably within the control of a parent or person in a position of responsibility, power or trust. There may be single or repeated incidents. Social scientists have developed certain indicators for identifying physical abuse. Indicators of the physical abuse are as follows: bite marks, unusual bruises, lacerations, burns, high incidence of accidents or frequent injuries, fractures in unusual places, injuries, swellings on face and extremities, discoloration of skin. A physically abused child not only shows signs of physical indicators, but also shows behavioral indicators too. Behavioral indicators of the child includes avoids physical contact with others, apprehensive when other children cry, wears clothing to purposely conceal injury, that is long sleeves, wearing long sleeves, gives inconsistent versions about occurrence of injuries, burns, etc., seems frightened by parents, often late or absent from schools, comes early to school, seems reluctant to go home afterwards, has difficulty getting along with others and having little respect for others. In a study titled Child Abuse India 2007 on child abuse conducted by the Ministry of Women and Child Development revealed that almost 89% of the children were subjected to physical abuse by parents, who have the primary responsibility of protecting their children, and also 2 out of every 3 children are physically abused. The Indian society, like most societies across the world, is patriarchal in structure, where the chain of command is definite and inviolable. In such power structures, parents, both fathers and mothers, consider their children as their property and assume a freedom to treat them as they like. Evidences suggest that sometimes it is a parent's inability to raise their children and their frustrations find a manifestation in the form of beating them or causing other physical harm. In 14.83% of the respondents, the physical abuse resulted in swelling or bleeding or causing serious physical injury. Severe physical maltreatment also takes place outside family situations, and the most common and known forms of it are corporal punishment in schools and physical abuse at workplace. The study also exposed that very high percentage of corporal punishment was reported in government and municipal schools. Majority of the respondents, that is 68.99%, reported physical abuse, out of which most of the respondents were boys, that is 59.68%. Data indicated that more boys reported physical abuse as compared to girls. Moreover, the highest percentage of physical abuse in children, that is in the age group of 13 and 14 to 14 years, was reported from Uttar Pradesh, that is 37.42%, followed by Mizoram, that is 30.74%. Thus, not only do parents and teachers adopt harsh methods of disciplining children, there is also little opposition to this harshness. The underlying belief is that physical punishment encourages discipline in children and is for their betterment in the long run. The analysis of the report discloses that the young adults were in favor of abusive forms of punishment to children as a method of discipline. This is a disturbing finding, as the cycle of abuse will get perpetrated if this mindset continues. Physical abuse, whether it is called disciplining or venting of personal frustrations, the fact is that it is a grave violation of children's right to live with dignity and freedom from violence, their right to be loved and cared for, and their right to be nurtured with respect. Sexual abuse. As defined by the World Health Organization, child sexual abuse is the involvement of a child in sexual activity that he or she does not fully comprehend, is unable to give informed consent to, or that violates the laws or social taboos of society. Child sexual abuse is evidenced by this activity between a child and an adult or another child who by age or development is in a relationship of responsibility, trust or power. The activity being intended to gratify or satisfy the needs of the other person. This may include, but is not limited to, the inducement or coercion of a child to engage in any unlawful activity, the exploitative use of a child in prostitution or other unlawful sexual practices, and the last one is the exploitative use of children in pornographic performances and materials. Every second young adults had been sexually abused during their childhood. But the subject of child sexual abuse is still a taboo in India. There is a conspiracy of silence around the subject, and a very large percentage of people feel that this is a largely Western problem and that sexual abuse does not happen in India. Part of the reason, of course, lies in a traditional conservative family and community structure that does not talk about sex and sexuality at all. Parents do not speak to children about sexuality as well as physical and emotional changes that take place during their growing years. As a result of this, All forms of sexual abuse that a child faces do not get reported to anyone. The silence of parents and the caretakers encourage the abuser so that he is emboldened to continue the abuse and to press his advantage to subject the child to more severe forms of sexual abuse. Very often, children do not even realize that they are being abused. In a study on women's experiences of incest and childhood, sexual abuse conducted by RAHI, Recovering and Healing from Incest. Some of the respondents have stated that till the questionnaire was administered to them, they did not realize that they had been abused as children. They had buried the incident as a painful and shameful one, not to be ever told to anyone. Child Abuse India 2007 also exposes that 72.1% of children did not report sexual abuse that they had suffered to anyone. However, this fear is only around girls, and the safety net is generally not extended to boys. There is evidence from this report as well as other studies that boys are equally at risk. Of the respondents, more males, that is 58.33%, faced one or other forms of sexual assault as compared to females during their childhood. Assam reported the highest incidence of sexual child abuse of both boys and girls. Goa reported the lowest incidence of sexual abuse in both boys and girls, which is not in line with the general perception. Children on streets, children at workplace reported the highest incidence of sexual assault. It is worrying to know that the perpetrators are the ones who are not strangers to the victims. They are acquaintances of the victims and are in a position to protect the children. 50% of the abusers were cousins, uncles and friends and class fellows. The highest percentage of children reported such abuse by friends and class fellows, followed by uncles and neighbors. Emotional abuse. Emotional and psychological maltreatment of children is the most complex type of abuse, invisible and difficult to define. Emotional abuse is also known as verbal abuse, mental abuse and psychological maltreatment. It includes acts or the failures to act by parents or caretakers that have caused or could cause serious behavioral, cognitive, emotional or mental trauma. This can include parents, caretakers using extreme and or bizarre forms of punishment, such as confinement in a closet or dark room, or being tied to a chair for long periods of time, or threatening or terrorizing a child. Less severe acts but no less damaging, or belittling or rejecting treatment, using derogatory terms to describe the child, habitual tendency to blame the child or make him or her a scapegoat. In India, there is no clear-cut perception of the extent of the emotional abuse, and neither is there clarity on the damaging effects of continuous emotional abuse on the psyche of children. Child Abuse India 2007 study has made known that every second child reported that they are being emotionally abused. In Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Delhi and Rajasthan, the percentage of boys reporting humiliation was significantly high. In Delhi, 87% of the female young adults reported facing one or more forms of emotional abuse during their childhood. 83% of the cases, parents were the abusers. Getting factual data on emotional abuse is a difficult task, as children often do not understand that they are undergoing emotional abuse. While the indicators of emotional abuse are not as visible are quantifiable as those of physical and sexual abuse. The fact that every second child, whether boy or girl, perceives himself or herself as emotionally abused is a cause of concern. Further, a lot of indicators of emotional abuse are culturally accepted ways of disciplining a child and are therefore not perceived to be an abuse by adults, parents or caregivers. Neglect. It is the failure to provide for the child's basic needs. Neglect can be physical, educational or emotional. Physical neglect can include not providing adequate food or clothing, appropriate medical care, supervision or proper weather protection, that is heat or cold. It may include abandonment. Educational neglect include failure to provide appropriate schooling or special educational needs, allowing excessive truancies. Psychological neglect includes the lack of any emotional support and love, never attending to the child, substance abuse including allowing the child to participate in drug and alcohol abuse. Indicators of neglect includes lack of attention to girls as compared to brothers, less share of food in the family, sibling care by the girl child, gender discrimination. As it has been said earlier, in our society, even in 21st century, boy children are given importance than girl children. According to the data, 48.4% of girls wished they were boys. It represents how still our society favors strong son preferences. 70% of the girls did household work and 49% of the girls took care of their siblings. This is indicative of the fact that these girls are deprived of developmental opportunities. Causes of abuse. Now, let us move on to the causes of abuse. There are various causes which encourage the child abusers to carry out such inhuman acts. Let us see the causes of different forms of abuses one by one. Physical. The dominant causes of battering children were found as children constantly disobeying parents, quarrels between the parents and the child beaten as scapegoat, child not taking interest in studies, child spending most of his time away from home, child refusing to go to earn a livelihood, child frequently fighting with siblings, child frequently playing truant from school, child refusing to hand over his total earnings to his parents or guardians, receiving complaints of misbehavior from outsiders, and child indulging in deviant behavior like theft, smoking, etc. Sexual. The causes of sexual abuse mostly given are conflict between parents and weakening of inhibitions leading to neglect of the children, absence of affectionate parent-child relationship within the family that fails to give support and protection to child, alcoholism of the yearning male member and his lack of accountability, lack of adequate control on the children, illicit relations of the mother with some man and paramour's hold on his mistress, dominance of stepfather, social isolation of the family and the psychological disorders of the abusers. Emotional. Important causes of emotional abuse can be identified as poverty, deficient parental control and non-cordial relations within family, maltreatment faced by parents in their own childhood or intergenerational transmission of child maltreatment and alcoholism of parents. Effects of abuse on children. The consequences of child abuse on the victim are likely to have a far-reaching effect. Bolton and Bolton 1987 have identified 8 possible effects of abuse on children, namely self-devaluation, dependency, mistrust, re-victimization, withdrawal from people, emotional trauma, deviant behavior and interpersonal problems. Keval Ramani, in his study of child abuse, lays down the effect of child abuse on children in 5 significant areas. The first is the loss of self-esteem. Abused children develop a negative view of themselves. Children have no choice but to accept the perpetrator's abuse. The individual who maltreats them is their own parents, so they cannot run away. Similarly, they have to tolerate their caretakers and employers' hostility because of their poverty and their dependence on them. The second effect is on dependency. It was found that a child's dependency is shifted from parents or caretakers to teachers for the gratification of all her needs. The third effect is on deviant behavior. It was found that abuse had a great effect on a child's conformity to socio-cultural expectations, and a large number of the victimized children are compelled to indulge in activities that violated the social norms, which are labeled as deviance. The fourth effect is on social and interpersonal problems. Keval Ramani's study revealed that child abuse results in poor communication and coping ability, failure in developing intimacy and social relationships, mistrust, isolation and withdrawal from interactional settings. Conclusion: the increasing number of study on child abuse is expected to place the subject of child abuse on the national agenda. This has created an environment wherein discussion on child abuse has been initiated. The media has started highlighting such issues, and an understanding of their gravity is gaining momentum. This understanding must be translated into action, and not only the central government, but state government, civil society, families and children themselves need to understand the rights perspective and together create the enabling environment wherein a child is protected from abuse and exploitation. The momentum needs to be sustained and should be carried forward in the form of a movement that will take all stakeholders along the road to sustainable development and to create a protective environment for the children of India. The primary responsibility of protecting children from abuse and neglect lies with the families or the primary caregivers. However, communities and civil society and all others are also responsible for the care and protection of children. The overarching responsibility is that of the state, and it is the state that has to create a protective environment and provide a safety net for children who fall into vulnerable and exploitative situations.